won't happen again.
Hello, everyone. It's Shane Conto, your Wasteland reviewer, and welcome to the Wasteland Watchlist here on the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network. This is my weekly show where my guests and I take a deep dive through doing a bit of movie roulette from my obscenely large movie watch list that is completely random and could be basically anything. But joining me for this episode is a member of the crew, podcaster here with the SPM Crew Podcasting Network, and a good friend of mine. It is Adam Ritchie.
How you doing, Shane? Thank you for recommending, well, not recommending, but choosing this one. Yeah, and I didn't even know Howard Hawks had directed this film, so yeah, very excited to get into it.
Yes, and we happened to land on a film that I feel like was right up Adam's alley for this one, and it is indeed Howard Hawks' 20th Century. And to give you some background here, this film was released May 11th, 1934, with a runtime of about 91 minutes, indeed directed by Howard Hawks, starring John Barrymore and Carole Lombard. This is based on Napoleon of Broadway from 1932 by Charles Bruce Milholland, considered one of the prototypes of the screwball comedy. This propelled Lombard into the front ranks of film comedies at the time, added to the National Film Registry of the Library of Congress in 2011.
Wow.
Yep,
Wow.
so this is a culturally significant film, according to the United States. Um,
Yeah.
Roy Del Ruth and Lewis Millstone lined up to direct the film before Hawks came on board. Columbia tried to get William Frawley for the film from the Broadway cast. Eugenie Leonatovich, the Broadway lead, Gloria Swanson, and Miriam Hopkins were all considered for the leading
Hmm.
role. That wound up going to Carole Lombard, but Lombard was actually Hawk's specific choice for the role. Like he wanted her for this film. Barrymore worked closely with Lombard to break her stoic screen presence since like
Mm.
he was not known for doing comedy up to this point. So
Yeah.
her and Barrymore worked really close to try to break out of that. And Lombard and Barrymore actually became very close friends. And within a few
Hmm.
years after this, when Barrymore was struggling to get film roles, Lombard went to bat to try to get him roles in films with her.
Wow.
Preston Sturges was actually fired from writing on the film, and they
Huh.
attempted to replace him with Herman Mankiewicz,
Oh,
um,
wow.
which didn't wind up working out, so they didn't get Mankiewicz for the film. Filming lasted just about 1 month, and the Hayes office asked them to make one specific line removal from the film. So overall, the film came out as intended. But there's an interesting development of like uh you had Hawks actually pulling Lombard aside and really trying to work with her to get her into the space to match the zany comedy that certainly this film is going for because I am sure we'll
No,
talk about it, but you
yeah.
have somebody like John Barrymore like acting to the ceiling in this film, but here we have a flamboyant Broadway impresario who has fallen on hard times, tries to get his former lover, now a Hollywood diva, to return and resurrect his failing stage career. But Adam, what are your general thoughts on 20th Century?
It's very John Hawkes. It definitely has, well, watching this film kind of made me realize how much what he's very similar to Joe Dante, is that he has this
Mhm.
cheekiness to what he puts on screen, and watching this made me kind of cement that, or even I guess consider it in the first place. This was a lot of fun. Like I had a really good
Yep.
time with this. As you mentioned, John Barrymore is just amazing. He's just scenery chewingly brilliant in this. And Carole Lombard, I did look her up because I knew the name, and I don't know if I've watched many of her films, if any at all, other than this one. But she died really young. Became a really big star, and then she died in a
Yeah.
plane crash at like 33. Like so sad. So that really, yeah, that really shocked me because yeah, she's very well known, I guess, amongst people who like old movies.
Yeah.
Um, but it wasn't. Look, a lot of the humor in this I thought was quite subtle. It wasn't, projected humor. Like you had to kind of not even really pay attention, but it was more in to do with the situation and the way the characters played it rather than actual jokes, I guess is what
Hmm.
I'm trying to say. That's where the humor is, and that's what I kind of appreciate and re relay that to Joe Dante's style a little bit as well. But yeah, this is a great movie. Not really wrapping up, but would definitely recommend this to anyone, actually. Yeah, really worthwhile film.
I think the obviously the big selling points are Barrymore and Lombard at the center of this film. Barrymore has this very specific vibe of this like flowy tousled hair that gets a little
Mm,
mannequin all over the place because he's going completely unhinged, freaking out about stuff, and that combo
yeah.
with that mustache. He just has this like very I'm like I'm a director. I need to do this art, and he's in this place where he can't really do that. And I think Lombard does such a great job of being this. There's obviously like a chip on her shoulder at this point,
Hmm.
because obviously
Yeah.
they were together before. And he's
Uh,
getting so desperate, but like not desperate enough to like get past his own ego and stuff like that.
yeah.
And they have a
Yeah.
very interesting dynamic with each other throughout this film.
Hmm.
And that's really the driving force. And a lot of this, it's like a really simple plot of at the end of the
Mm.
day, this is just him trying to convince her to do this show, basically
Yes.
by any means necessary. As the film goes on. Because like the biggest thing for me was the climax of this film was this wild situational humor setup
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
starts spiraling, including like being shot or not being
Hmm.
shot,
Yeah. Yeah.
dying or
Uh,
not dying. And Barrymore sells that
oh,
so
he's,
perfectly.
yeah.
He's like trying to deliver the biggest death scene in the history of acting,
Hmm.
while convincing her to try to sign on for this show. And of course, he's a grifter, trying to any means necessary to get
It's,
him back on track.
yeah, he's a bit of a desperate menace because that's where the development goes. Because, like you said at the start when you were saying how Hawks kind of had to give Lombard extra coaching to get that comedic performance out of her. It's not unlike him in the opening scene of this where
Yeah,
she's a bad actor and he's trying to get the best out of her and he gets the best out of her and she becomes a star and kind of outgrows him. So then he gets desperate to get back into her limelight. And then when we move to the train, we see
yes.
the fame has gotten to her head so much. She has an entourage now. She treats him like shit and she's but it's still done in a comedic way, I
Yeah.
guess to put it simply. Yeah.
Well, because you have this these bookends of like the opening scene in the
Mm.
theater where yes, that's a lot of fun of him trying to like get this performance out of her. And
Yes,
then at
drawing
the
the lines
very
on the floor and
yeah. And at the very end where it's like, well, we're back at this again, despite
yep.
the fact he doesn't want to be back at this again. But he's happy because he has a show again. And
Yeah.
I didn't expect like so much of this film, like this on this train of like
Yes. Yeah.
this whole entire story is okay, we're on this train ride, and I have to
Mm.
convince her to do this play by the time this train ride's over. And just the idea of the escalation of how hard he is trying to convince her,
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
their banter back and forth in these like enclosed rooms and stuff like that is a lot of fun. I think Walter Connolly, who plays Oliver Webb, is a fun supporting character too
Yeah.
here. And
He's
okay,
no, no. Sorry. No, no, you go. It'll come up. It's okay.
and it's just one of those types of things where this film feels like that like running of line to a bomb where
Yeah.
it keeps getting closer and closer to the bomb and
Yeah.
that fuse is shortening. And because like
It's a good analogy.
it's interesting seeing how Barrymore's approach evolves because like he's getting more and more desperate
Mm.
and
Mm.
the actions get more and more crazy and over the top and ridiculous and it just has that building up a tension. I think Howard Hawks does a great job of slowly escalating the situations in a way that builds up that
Mhm.
humor because like sure like I think there are like especially towards the beginning and their early interactions as they're on this train, the humor is a little bit more subtle and it's a little bit sharper and like flip getting in there, and then it goes full blown over the top zaniness by the end of the
Yeah,
film.
yeah,
And if anything else, I think just watching John Barrymore's performance in this is worth the like hour and a half commitment to watch this movie.
definitely.
Is-
Yeah.
He is so much fun in this, and I think Lombard makes the perfect foil to him,
Hmm.
which is what makes this so interesting. Is that they're they're like oil and water. There is friction there between them throughout this whole entire film. It's just a fun dynamic. And you can
Yeah.
definitely see why this was one of those early screwball comedies that set up that expectation. Because this came out the same year as it happened one night.
Oh, really? I
So
didn't
like
even
the
put. Yeah, yeah.
so basically these two films were like really
Mm,
starting the groundwork for what people would define as screwball comedy moving forward.
yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because I go into these films blind. I didn't read anything about it. I was just going to watch it. It's Howard Hawks. That's enough for me to want to watch it.
Yeah.
And at first, I thought it was just going to be a dramatic movie. And it
Mhm.
took me maybe a good 10 or 15 minutes to understand it was actually a comedy because I started laughing at bits. I'm like, oh, okay, maybe that's Howard
Yeah.
Hawks. Um, so it's yeah, just saying it is described as a madcap comedy, but there's still Howard Hawks does it better later in his career. I mean, I've noted that in my letterbox review. I think Bringing Up Baby is one of the funniest movies ever made.
Yes.
And it's way more madcap and over the top, and it still does have those oil and water characters that
Yeah.
kind of have to are forced to be together in a way. They're not as forced in 20th century, but he's trying to force it, I suppose.
Mhm.
And she feels this obligation to him, as in Carole Lombard's character feels probably an obligation to him because he made her the star that she is. Yeah, it makes it all very interesting when these people don't really want to be together, but they can't help it, and that's what makes it fun.
Well, and I would describe like 20th Century Walk. So bringing up Baby, His
Mm,
Girl Friday, and Ball of Fire can run
yeah,
because Howard
yeah.
Hawks became really synonymous with screwball comedies. And I
Mm.
think those
And
films,
westerns.
yeah,
It's,
or and
it's
Big
worlds
Sleep
apart.
and like he
Yeah,
he
he
did
had
all types
range.
of different films. He had a lot of
Mm.
range. I wouldn't be mad about doing Howard Hawks on my Welcome to the Wasteland series, diving
No.
through and exploring
Yeah.
because like he made so many classic films and like
Mm.
I don't think this film is in that same conversation as bringing up Baby His Girl Friday Ball of Fire,
No.
but
No.
it's still a really
It's
effective,
second tier.
entertaining film that
Mm.
it's like, okay, I think he's feeling out like what this can be. Like it
Hmm.
happened one night feels like okay, that's like a fully fledged like this is what screwball comedy is. And this coming out around the same time is interesting. And then Hawks is
Mm.
like, well, I'm gonna run with it. And did
Yeah. Yeah.
some of the best comedies of old Hollywood. This was
It was
a
a pretty
wild
successful
ride.
film.
Yeah,
It
this
was a
was
pretty
a
successful film, right? Sorry.
yeah.
We had audio crossover. Sorry, I just said it was a pretty popular film at the time too. I think it did very well,
Mhm.
and it is a 7.2, I think, on IMDb, which is a pretty big grade.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, if I had to pick, I'd probably go back to some of those other Hawks screwball comedies first. But like,
Mhm.
I'd watch this again. I had a fun time.
Mm.
It actually makes me want to go watch more John Barrymore's work
Yeah,
because
same, same.
I like it was one of those things where I'm like, oh, I didn't understand your game, sir. It's like one of those things. It's like, oh, like I actually do like. It's kind of sad that the main reason why I'm like, oh, John Barrymore, Drew
Yeah,
Barrymore's relative, and
yeah,
like the whole
grandfather.
Barrymore. Yeah,
Yeah.
and like I've seen Lionel Barrymore, I feel like in a
Hmm.
lot more things, but like I'm interested in going back and seeing more of his work for sure. And obviously, Carole Lombard wasn't in a ton of stuff because, she died tragically when she was young. But, the things that I've seen her in, they're fantastic. She does a great job. Their dynamic sells this film, and Hawks just
Hmm.
understands how to set the stage. It's funny because I was literally just recording for the streaming Wasteland because I was talking about My Man
Ah, yeah.
Godfrey. And Carole Lombard's in that too, and she's fantastic with
Okay.
William Powell in that as well. So, but yes,
Hmm.
this is has plenty of good humor. Really well put together by Howard Hawks, and John Barrymore and Carole Lombard are a fantastic duo. Would
Yes.
certainly recommend. But Adam, do you have any other thoughts that you wanted to
Uh,
add about 20th Century?
just agreeing with you. Yeah, a thorough recommend. And if you do like this, you'll probably, if this is an introduction to Hawks, and you really like this, then you're in for a treat because he's got a lot of films that are so much greater than this, and this is a great film. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, yeah, go check this one out. But that is a wrap on another episode of the Wasteland Watchlist. And Adam, thank you so much as always for coming on and chatting movies with me.
I love it every time. Thanks for having me again.
Absolutely. And thank all of you for listening. Make sure to like, comment, and share on this episode. What's your favorite screwball comedy from that early era of old Hollywood? Make sure to follow or subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. The SPDM Crew podcasting network is ever expanding. There's so many great shows, so many different interests. You could learn a whole hell of a lot about physical media from Adam here on Curbside Collections. It got your horror hour as well. Our buddy Luke and his
Yes.
deep dives into learning about people through flicks and chill. Basically, if you love movies, there's plenty of that here on the SPDM Crew. But we talk sports and television and Tolkien and trivia shows, all kinds of different stuff, comics. So check us out. And if you want to be a guest on one of these shows, especially like this particular show, or if you want to start your own podcast because you have your own idea for a show, please reach out to us on our website. And if you like our logo, check out HiFlyer Creative for all your digital marketing needs. But most importantly, thank you as always for tuning in and supporting the Wasteland Watchlist here on the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network.